do you understand that what you think about and what you speak about and what you feel becomes your point of attraction, so that law of attraction is giving you what you are offering vibrationally? Beginning to get the sense of it as you play with parking lots and lovers and different things. So as you understand that law of attraction is responding to your vibrational offering, do you now get a glimpse of understanding that law of attraction is responding to this larger part of you too? Did you hear us? Or here's a better way of putting it. Do you sort of kind of accept, or being gentle, that you are really this larger energy, this eternal being? And do you accept that you are simultaneously this physically focused being? And do you accept that law of attraction is responding to all aspects of the vibrational beingness that is you? And does it make sense to you, since this is the eternal you that has been around longer than dirt, been around longer than this physical experience, been around longer than you have any way of conceiving in terms of time, this you and this you, which one do you think law of attraction is responding to in the strongest way? Which of those vibrational responses do you think is the strongest? We may be hinting. So as you acknowledge that this part of you has for a very long time isn't even the right expression, is so timeless and so eternal. Law of attraction has been responding to this eternal essence of that which you are for such a long time. Can you feel the pulling power of law of attraction responding to that part of you that is standing in your vibrational escrow, and law of attraction is responding to it? Can you feel it? And if you can feel it, can you feel the pulling power of that? What we're wanting to demonstrate to you is that because you've been around for a very long time, and because you've lived so many lives, and because law of attraction is responding so profoundly and powerfully to the vibrational essence of that which you are, there is this enormous, fast-moving river or current that is flowing toward that which you really are, and everything that you've ever asked for in this physical experience and beyond. A powerful current is flowing. And when you let yourself go with that current, you feel exhilaration and passion. You feel joy and appreciation and love. And when you don't let yourself go, you don't feel so good. When you hold to a thought that is contrary of the thought that is really you, in other words, who you really are as a lover, and when you're mad at someone, you're not going with who you are, and you feel the anger or hatred, which is your indication that you're not letting yourself be who you really are. You're not letting yourself be who life has caused you to become. And the thing that is most interesting about this is that because of the life that you're living, and because of the contrast that you're evaluating, you are the one who is giving the speed to your stream. You're also the one who's either going with it or not going with it. And so you are in total control, not only of how you feel, not only of whether you go with the stream toward everything that you want or not, but you have total control over everything that manifests or doesn't, and how fast it manifests or how slow it manifests in your experience. You're in total control of everything, but most of you don't even know it. Most of you don't realize that there is this powerful stream. Most of you don't realize the importance of the contrast that you are living. That's why when we say, do you enjoy the contrast of your time and place? You say, yes. But when you get this whole picture, when you understand that you came forth expressly to live the contrast, and you knew that the contrast would put things in your vibrational escrow, and doing so would cause an expansion of that which you are, and you knew that law of attraction would respond powerfully to that part of you, and you knew that the source would call you toward it, and you knew from your non-physical perspective that when you go or even turn in the direction of it, you will feel ease and joy, and you knew that when you paddled upstream, it would not feel so good. You knew that before you came forth. And we promised you that we would remind you once you got here. So here you are asking for that reminder, and here we are giving it to you. So many of our physical friends, we see you. You take your boat down to the stream, and invariably you turn that boat upstream and begin paddling very hard. And we say, why not turn and go with the flow? And you say, most of you, oh, that just seems lazy. The people who are really making it happen are all paddling very hard upstream. There's no gain without pain. Only those who persevere are virtuous and valiant, and those are the ones that get the monuments in their name after they croak. We like to be disrespectful of death since there isn't any. Then we listen, always enjoying your warped perspective. And then we cannot help ourselves when we say to you that nothing that you want is upstream. And the reason that we are so emphatic about that is because we know this cycle of life. We know who you are before you come into this body and who you remain even though you're in this body. We know the vibrational relationship between who you are and who you in this body, in this life has caused you to become. We can see the whole picture. We know why the stream flows, and we're here to tell you it flows downstream. It flows with ease. It flows toward everything that you have become. And when you let yourself go with that flow, which means when you find the best feeling thought from where you are and you practice it until it is alive within you, active within you, dominant within you, chronic within you, then you begin to live the manifested blossoming example of who all that you are has caused you to become. In a sense, you're like a two-headed monster, and we just want both heads to get going in the same direction. And when you pull against who you really are, you feel awful. And you blame it on all kinds of other things. You blame it on the economy. You blame it on your mate. You blame it on the people you work with. You blame it on your government. You blame the negative things that are happening in your life on so many things. But there is only one thing that is responsible for the negativity that you feel, and that is you're not going with you. It doesn't have anything to do with what anybody else is doing. Oh, of course, you can be observing other things, and in observing them, you're beating the drum of something that your inner being isn't beating the drum of. In other words, you can be very sure that every time you feel negative emotion, whether it's strong like depression or not so strong like frustration, no matter what negative emotion you're feeling, you can be sure every time you feel even a little particle of negative emotion that it always means this. It means you are looking at something and beating the drum of it, and therefore activating a vibration in you that is far different from the drum the source within you is beating. The drum the source within you beats is love of you and others. And when you are not loving you or others, you are setting up resistance. The drum that beats within you is one of utter worthiness. And when you beat the drum of not enoughness, you are setting up resistance within your being. The drum that beats within you is absolute knowledge of your value, an absolute expectation of this expansion that is inevitable. When you are feeling not enough, or when you are feeling doubt about your ability to do something, you've set up a vibration of resistance. The drum that beats within the source that is really you, the drum that sees through the eyes of source, in other words, that perspective of the eyes of source, knows your absolute wellness. And when you are beating the drum of sickness or gimpiness or limpiness or not enoughness or sniffliness, when you are beating the drum of poor me-ness, you cause a separation of vibration between who you really are and who you are allowing yourself to be. We see our greatest value to you in helping you to turn downstream, which is where all of the stuff that you want is. We have the wonderful advantage of being able to see clearly what you've put in your vibrational escrow. And so, from our point of view, the things that you want, it's not a question of if you can have them. Of course you can. It's only a question of when you will allow them in. And that has to do with how quickly you get a handle on these vibrational indicators and then do something about shifting them. When you go to the gas station and your gas gauge is on empty, you rarely put your head on the steering wheel and weep. I'm done. I've come to the end. Because that indicator is an indicator. It isn't a proclamation. It doesn't say on the gas gauge, empty, defeated, stupid, and life is over. It says, tank's empty, and you know what to do about it. And so the indicator is a benefit to you. You don't ever, or rarely, we've only seen it twice, put a happy face sticker over your gas gauge because it's depressing to see it on empty. Oh, that's so much better. Now I don't have to worry about that anymore. Because you want to know if your tank is empty. And we are wanting to remind you that you want to know if you are a vibrational match to what's in your vibrational escrow or where you are in proximity to it. Because if you don't know that and you don't do something about it when you find an indicator, don't worry, it will get bigger. In other words, when you feel negative emotion, it always means that right now, the thought you're thinking is not a vibrational match to what's in your vibrational escrow. So all your hopes and dreams, the things you've been asking for, cannot come into your experience in what you would call reality as long as you chronically feel like that. That's your indicator. So many of you become used to feeling negative emotion that you don't deliberately do anything about it. You don't deliberately try to feel better because you're used to not feeling so good. It's just normal to feel sort of ornery and overwhelmed. But when you take it as the indicator that it is, and you say, oh my, I am chronically offering a vibration, thinking the same thought, developing beliefs. A belief's just a thought you keep thinking. So I've set up a vibrational habit within myself, a point of attraction, that is different from what I've been asking for and what life has caused me to create. So I'm not keeping up with who I am. It would be good for me to reach for some thoughts that feel better than these thoughts that I've been thinking and practice them until they feel more like the normal, natural thought, until that becomes a chronic thought, till that becomes a belief, until that becomes my dominant point of attraction. And now there's no resistance within me. And now the universe is delivering to me in fabulous ways the things that I've been asking for. But if you don't recognize that negative emotion as that indicator, and you don't do something about shifting the thought so that you shift the feeling, if you don't do something about changing the vibration which changes the indicator, then nothing changes in your experience. In other words, a lot of people are running around having the same experiences year after year after year, different faces, different places, but nothing in their life really changes because they're not changing their basic feeling about life. Your worldview of life has become your expectation, and your expectation is a chronic vibration that will not allow something beyond your expectation to be. So when you say, well, I wouldn't have expected anything different, we say, well, yeah. If you don't expect something different, it cannot be. So creating is really a wonderful thing. Sometimes we see someone who has a death sentence assigned to them. They've been given a diagnosis of something that is considered to be terminal. And we feel very different about it than they do because we know that even in what they think is an ominous diagnosis, that all they've got is a more emphatic indicator of vibration. That's all it is. If they would change their thoughts today and tomorrow and the next day, they could do it no matter what's going on in 30 days if they knew what they were doing. They change the pattern of thought, they would change the vibration, and then the indicator would change, which means the disease would have to dissipate because the disease is an indicator of vibration, and when vibration shifts, the disease must shift too. But so many people look at manifestation as something different than the indicator that it is. When you start to understand that the manifestations, what's in your checkbook, who's in your bed with you, who's not in your bed with you, the things that you are wanting, the things that you're living, the way your life is right now on all those subjects that are important to you, you're living the manifestational indicator of your vibration. So if you really like who's in your bed, don't change your thought. If you really like no one being in your bed, don't change your thought. If you really like what's in your bank account, don't change your thought, don't change your vibration, don't do anything about shifting the indicator. If you like it the way it is, just keep observing it as it is, keep that vibration going, keep your point of attraction as it is. But if you are seeking some change, then you must offer a different vibration. You cannot continue to look at things as they are. And do you know that most people offer the majority of their vibration in response to their observation of what is? That's why lives don't change very much. That's why so many of the people that you meet at your 20th and 30th and 40th class reunion are exactly as you remembered them back then. Because they didn't think any differently than they thought then. In other words, they're continuing the same patterns of thought. But you now know different. You now know that you are an eternal being, and you now know that you have a vibrational escrow, and you now know that you have guidance that's letting you know what you're doing in vibrational relationship with that. So you can't go back. You'll never again feel negative emotion and not know what it means.